Lanisa Williams is creating her own lane in the coffee world. Her journey through coffee is one she says literally saved her life. A barista based in Los Angeles, California, she is the creator of Barista Life LA, a platform that she uses to educate those about the coffee industry and also uses to bring awareness and highlight the minorities working in the industry on a day to day basis. She is a very dope person with a dope story that is not only empowering but also motivating. I was so happy for her to sit down and chop it up with me and share her story and to share some of the knowledge and insight that she has gained working in this industry for over 15 years. I hope you guys enjoyed just as much as I did. Lanisa Williams, Coffee with the Homies. I was reading your bio, and one of
Uh-huh.
the things that stood out to me was how you first got interested in coffee, because it's kind of similar to how I got interested
Yeah.
in coffee as a kid. My grandmother turned me on to it when I
Yeah.
was like 5. So I, when I read about how you got, your first spark and exposure to it, I was like, okay, we kind of have a similar story.
Yeah.
Share with me your journey, that from that first spark to how you got to where you are now.
All right, cool. I mean, like I remember just like going to church with my mom and like Sundays, you know, after either before church or during, like not necessarily during, but we would go stop and get donuts, every now and then when she had a couple extra dollars to spend.
Right.
And but she would always drink coffee though. She actually worked at the church. She was the head person that took care of like all the kids when, for the parents went to church. It was like
Right.
a kind of like a daycare, but it was just like children's ministry type
Yeah.
thing. But it
Yeah.
was for newborns to I'm gonna say like 2 or 3 years old. And
Okay.
she ran that she didn't run it until I got a little bit older, but she worked while I was younger. She worked there,
Okay.
and they would always offer coffee, muffins, and stuff like that. And I would be like, "Mom, like, let me get some." And I get, like that was her luxury. And I feel like now I realize like that was her luxury. That was a little
Right.
extra change that she had that she would go buy and treat herself with. And I would always be like, let me just get a swig, like the end of the last few sips, like. And I don't know, I think like my sisters really wasn't into it, and that me and my mom had that, and
Okay.
like that was like my spark for coffee. And then it wasn't until um till I got into like graduated high school and stuff, and I pretty much I moved to Washington DC, and I got a
Okay.
job at Starbucks. I mean, in between that time from being 5 to like 18, 19, 20, like I definitely drank coffee in between
Right.
there. My mom was actually a part of a tea club that these ladies at the church had, and
Okay.
like they would have tea parties, or so it would be like once a month. Two of the ladies would host a tea party at their house or at a tea parlor or something like that. So like I definitely was not into that because they dressed up and put the hats. I was
Oh,
not
they
none of
they did the
that.
whole nine.
Yeah. But my mom, like she made stuff special for us. I have all sisters, so she made it
Okay.
special for us. And like she would throw just a tea party at the house with just me and my sisters. We ain't gotta
Mm.
dress up if you don't want to, but like my sisters loved that, and like that got me like my spark of like how to like present stuff or how to even
Okay.
make tea. Like even like I never knew about like loose leaf tea or anything like
Right.
that until my mom literally brought it to my attention, and she had like this little silver I guess is where you put the loose leaf tea in, and I just thought it was like a toy, a trinket, and I was just playing,
Playing with it.
right. But it was actually like, she taught me how to, like, she was the first person who taught me how to brew coffee, brew
Okay.
tea, and make coffee. Like I learned about a chemix. That was the first thing, like
Okay.
alternate brewing method that I've ever. And I just was like, dude, that looks awesome. And like like if I was in a chemistry class,
Right.
I just thought it was dope. And I was just like, wow. And I tasted coffee there, but there was no one who actually like broke it down to me. Like
Broke it down
Starbucks
for
was
you.
not, yeah, they weren't into that. They were like launching like frappuccinos, and that was
Yeah.
a big thing, and it was blending, and like, but like I was 20, I was probably like 21, 20, 21 when like, I was in front of an espresso machine, and then they showed me how to work it and stuff like that. But they mostly focused on like drip coffee and stuff like that. So I did drink coffee, but it wasn't until like I finally made my way over to Pete's Coffee in like 2010, 11, 12, let me see. I can't even remember. I feel it's like 2013, something like that. That I got into the Pete's Coffee, and someone brewed an Ethiopian Supernatural. That's one of their coffees that they drop like twice a year now. But they brewed it for me in a Chemex. But when I grabbed the bag, it already smelled like blueberries, and I was just like, all right, cool. They opened the bag, and I'm smelling it and all that. And I'm looking on the packaging, looking for it to say like, artificial flavoring added. Like that's what I'm used to that. Like instant stuff, and it was nothing like that. And they brewed it. They went through the whole spiel of how they got these beans and where they grow them and all that kind of stuff. And he brewed I think it was one of the trainers at the time, brewed the coffee, and it just smelled like straight blueberries. And I was just like, what? And then I tasted it. And I was like, nah, bro.
You was hooked.
Like, that was like, literally, that was just like hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
And I was just flabbergasted, like, how are we getting these flavors from coffee? And I didn't use no cream, no sugar,
Nothing.
just in its purest form.
Right.
And I was just like, yo, this is like, I think it's the little details that like triggered in my head. Like those are the things I immediately like grasp onto.
Right.
And it was just intriguing. I'm just like, whoa, it's like science. Like I love science. I love it. So yeah, it was there. And I was just like, yo, like, I love what I do. The personal stuff. Like I've met people who like this, want to disclose their whole life to me. And I'm just like, all I do is make you a cup of coffee, bro. Hey. Like, but there's that connection that they feel like you get something in their life that they feel comfortable enough to be like, yo, boom, 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 boom. And it was like, it was crazy. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been definitely hooked on it. But it wasn't until like I went to prison and had to sit down for a minute. And I had a counselor in there who would talk to me and stuff like that. And she was just like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I love coffee and stuff like that. And, while I was in prison, I'm, my fingers is crossed that when I get out, that my job is still available for me.
Right.
Because I was working in coffee. I was working in coffee, and I was just, I asked him like, yo, if it's possible that when I come back, like I can get my job back. And that was like a thing that I was like rooting for in my life at that time. I was just like, I need something to kind of direct me away from this where I was at. Like, if I would have got back out and if the job was not available, I definitely would have went this way, and I'd probably be doing 10 to 15 right now. Like, honestly, Yes. But they gave me my job back, and I just saw that as a sign. Like, this is where you're supposed to be, Lanisa. Yeah. Like, you thrive in these types of situations where you're preparing stuff for people, when people want to come and talk to you about stuff. Like, this is like, I saw that as like, yo, maybe this is the path I need to go. Right. And I just took it, and I just took every opportunity that presented itself, whether I was scared as shit or I was excited. Like, I was just like, let me just embrace this. And like, here I am today.
No, hey, so, I mean, there's so many things I want to touch on. Literally, coffee kind of just saved your life.
Yeah, and that's what the people ask me all the time, like, why you love coffee so much? Because it saved my life. This was my second chance. Yeah. Like, people don't get second chances. I'm like, I got family doing time.
Right.
The same stuff that I was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, it literally saved my life. Like, I really wake up and every day, like, yo, I get to brew some coffee at my house. I got everything I need. I could put out a video. People respond to stuff. And that fuels me,
Yeah.
Like, people seeing stuff and being like, yo, that's dope. Like, can you like, they DM me like, yo, what's the ratio of this? Or, I'm all for it, because at one point I was denied so much information because I was Black, because I was a lesbian, because I was a woman. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, really? Like, but is the you know the timing that we was living in,
Right.
or that we
Right.
living in still. So I just want to be able to, you know, I try to absorb as much information. I just want to learn, so that I can just put right back out. Because it's like I learned like within the last 2 years from like starting Barista Life LA, launching Black and Brew, like people had the same kind of struggle as I did,
Kind of
like
same
being
experiences.
denied or not being paid the same amount that the next person, or doing somebody else's job and not getting the title, like things like that. I'm just like, yo, somehow we have to put light on this. Like, is real. Like, the coffee community is, I feel like it's its own community, but outside, like what I don't think that people realize what happens outside the world and how people are getting discriminated against and stuff like that actually still happens in like the coffee community,
in the industry,
and like other areas as well. But like in the coffee community, like I've seen it, I'm just like, wow, dude, like really?
Wow.
So, yeah.
What's since we're talking about that, and I'm not as in depth in the coffee world as you are. No, seriously. I admire you guys from a distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm drawn to coffee for the experience of it.
Right.
So I love the experience of a shop. I love the, finding a new single origin to taste,
right?
I used to think I wanted to be a barista and stuff like that, but first of all, I'm not a people person, so that probably cut me out right there.
Out.
And then when I started really getting involved in it, and started diving into it, the complexities of it was like, oh my God, this is like, I told somebody I interviewed the other day, coffee is almost like cooking crack. You got so many
all these variables to make this one product.
Right. So I was, I'm like, man, it's a science project every time you brew a cup of coffee.
It is,
yeah. So I admire you guys who are involved in it on a daily basis and make a living from it. I admire that. But you were talking about, some of the discrepancies, the discrimination, the inequalities that y'all face. What's one thing that impacted you, that happened to you negatively, that you still carry with you?
Being called a nigger on a daily.
Wow.
Like by a customer, and then the company I worked for didn't have my back, so I had to take matters in my own hands. That clearly I no longer work for them, but yeah. As like, I thought, I know they're like, oh, customers are always right, but in this situation, bro, that was not right at all. And you guys were so, my mom had moved into an area where it's predominantly white, predominantly white. And it's like, I'm always the only Black person, where I was at. And I had a gentleman that just like refused to want me to make his drink and stuff like that. And would just call me out of my name. And I just got tired of it at one point. After I felt like I did everything in my power to rectify the situation. I went to my boss, I went to my boss's boss, I went to my boss's boss. And it was just like the same thing. It's like, they didn't want any attention brought to it. Just ignore him. How you ignore stuff like that?
You're right. Because they don't have to deal with it. So.
Right. They're not the ones in the cafe, 45 hours out of the week and dealing with customers that come in. So that is something that definitely like weighed on me for a long time. And I after that situation, I got out of coffee and I went and did some other stuff, but then other things into me getting into some trouble. I said, all right, let's
get back into it. Get back into it. Man, that's how long ago was that?
We almost on like 10 years ago.
Okay, because in today's climate, I would almost guarantee that the company would handle it totally different.
Oh yeah,
in today's climate,
I would hope so.
I would think so. I'm like you. I would hope so. If they knew what they knew better, they would. It's just crazy that you have to deal with that just to go to work and make a living. You trying to do something you enjoy, and you would think at the very least, the
They'll
company
be
will say,
appreciative.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's tough. And it's a lot of that going around in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I've seen
That-
people, I mean, like I've heard stories of people being like, yeah, I've heard a lot of like people tell me stuff and I'm just like, really? Like that company? Like of all,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I ain't fucking with them, man.
yeah,
Like,
it's crazy, man. Crazy. What are some of the things that you would like to see changed, even now, as a Black woman in the industry? Like some of the inequalities, have they been addressed? Are they being addressed? Or
I feel like a lot of them are being addressed right now. The whole, like, I feel like the Black coffee movement is, you know, it's a full force storm, and we have people like Bartholomew, Michelle, like people who are advocates for us and trying to make a difference in these communities and just bring awareness to what's really going on. And I definitely think that they're touching on it. Like I mean, just
cool. That's one of the things I do admire about you. How you highlight Black folks in coffee, in the coffee world. Your Black and Brew series, man, is just like one of the dope. Yeah, that's one of the dopest things going on right now. What pushes you to do that? Because you could be, I mean, you know, it's some selfish people out there, you know, who just all about them. What pushes you to say, okay, hey, I'm gonna use my platform to shine light on other people who doing, you know, they think.
Like originally, me and my business manager, we sat down and talked, and I was just like, yo, like I really want to do something to like highlight baristas, and that was it. Like my thing, because at the time we wasn't in the pandemic or you know, the whole Floyd movement and all that hadn't kicked off. But it was honestly like a month before this happened. And I was just hard, like I need to do something to like highlight Black or just baristas in general, because I feel like everyone gets passed over or it's the same. Yeah, and I'm just like, there's so many dope. I've run into so many dope baristas just everywhere, and people don't know that they exist. And then the whole Black movement, Black Lives Matter kicked in, and I'm like, well, let's just, you know, we sat down and I'm just like, how about we switch it to, you know, we're highlighting Black people in coffee. But then I didn't have no slogan, like I didn't have no hashtag for it, and we were on the couch talking, and she pretty much like came up with like, how about we do something like Black? And I was like, we just like bounced it back and forth, and she pretty much was like, how about we do like Black and Brew? And I'm just like, yo, that has a good ring to it. And I was like, Black and Brew baristas, and I was like, nah, but just Black and Brew. Like I just right then, and I was just like, all right, let's go with that. And yeah, and then from there it was just like highlight Black people in coffee. Like I said, when I was in like the shops and stuff like that, like I was pretty much the only Black person there. And then there was only at one point, like I literally worked with an entire, I'm not gonna say that it's a rejection, but that's how we felt as a team working at this particular location. It was like they shoved all the Black people over
one
here,
shift.
out the way at this one store, out the way.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was the manager, the assistant manager was Black, and like two of my shift leads were Black. And then I was like, so this is just the Black, like this is where they putting all the Black people just out the way, like no one's really gonna come all the way over here to see it. And that's how like the entire team felt. But that was like the only time I ever worked with that many Black people in my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was wonderful. Like we have I feel like we have our own swag, man. Like we do stuff.
It's a different vibe. We just different, like they say. Yeah,
we really are.
Yeah.
But I really believe, like, yo, we just a different. Yo, we just different, and I love it to death.
Yeah,
I
facts.
love it.
Wouldn't have it no other way.
I wouldn't. If they gave me the option to be white and the richest person in the world, I don't want that.
Nah, I
cool
wouldn't have it
with
no
this.
other way. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Okay, y'all make it more comfortable for me to walk into a shop.
Right. And
Things
that's
like
what
that.
it was. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I want people to be comfortable. It's like a coffee shop's supposed to be like a second home. Like, I know when Hustlers Cups pop open, that's exactly what I want y'all to feel like. Like, y'all can come here anytime, chit chat. Ain't nobody about to kick you out, relax. You know, I don't care. You bought one cup of coffee, you here all day. Okay, you may have needed that one cup to last you all day, but you're in a safe haven place where you can be yourself, you know? And that's how I've always felt. Like, even when I ask people who have their coffee shops, like, oh, we're just trying to make it feel like a second home and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, you want it to be welcoming. And it's not welcoming if you don't see your own kind in there, though.
It's not.
It's not. I've been in plenty and they looking at me. I can go up there and order a drink. I've ordered like cortados or flat whites and they look at me and they're just like,
what you know about that?
Right.
I've had that experience before, right? What you know about that? Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I know y'all looking at me like I don't know nothing about that. It's cool. It's fine. Because if you ask me a question, I got you.
You go drop that knowledge on them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want people to be able to you know, see us in the limelight like they see everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like we just got passed over. Like, oh, this shit come from Africa. This is us. This is us.
Man, let me tell you what. You talked about Bartholomew. I've learned so much from him, just following him about the origin of coffee and things like that. And that, you know, that knowledge needs to be put out there.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to put, I try to tell my kids, you know, my son, you know, about the, you know, just so they can know that, hey, look, a lot of this stuff that they taking over, a lot of that stuff originated with us.
And originated with us. And that's another reason why I was so like enthused about like getting coffee education out there, is because being behind the bar all the time, and I see people who are, you know, Black people who come in and they order these drinks, and I used to ask like, hey, why did you order that? Like, what is it that you like about it? I just like the sugar in it and stuff like that. I was like, you don't just drink like coffee by itself. You know, most of them, like the most popular drink of it is caramel macchiatos. Hands down. I don't care where every shop I was at. It was just like, that's the one drink that everyone either could pronounce or, you know, or describe to me correctly and be like, oh, that's the one. Or like on the commercial, like, I'm like, what commercial? Like, I don't know. But I would honestly ask the, you know, Black people who came in, like, why you drink that? Or like, what made you choose that? And it was always like, oh, I saw it on a commercial. My friend told me about it. It was never like, I enjoy the coffee, the caramel, the, you know, the milk. It was nothing like that. And my thing was like, y'all don't even know what you're putting in your body. Nah. So let me try to educate. And, you know, I drink my coffee straight, you know, black. And so every now and then on the weekends, I'll throw some cream. But 9 times it's straight black. And I just want people to be able to taste it. Like, this is the motherland right here. This is it. You want to know you know, for me, it was just like, I'm over here gangbanging and claiming blocks that I don't even own. I don't know nothing about. This is not my, you know, but I could talk about some coffee that somebody, my great somebody ran a farm and they was out here picking this guy, you know? Right. Like, I feel more of a connection to that than what I had going on out here. Yeah. That's what's up, man. When are we go get that brick and mortar? We working on it, I promise, bro. So we had the spot, and it was right off of Slauson Avenue between 4th and 5th Ave. I'm 2 blocks from. I'm 4 blocks from Slauson and Crenshaw, Nipsey spot, and all that. That's where I was. And then the owner we were doing the build out. I'm putting money. I'm getting plumbing done, and then the owner came with some BS, and I was just like, we had already agreed on some stuff, and now you're trying to renege on it. And not everything was in writing, and I can't necessarily blame everything on him. I have to take accountability because, I mean, this was my first rodeo about doing this much. I know how to get your shop popping and open, but I've never had to do that one-on-one with somebody. So this was my learning experience, but I definitely should have wrote everything. Everything should have been in writing what he said that he was going to contribute to, because he did it. that I'd completely tapped out. Like I can't
Yeah.
keep on doing it. So I just opted out to not re-sign the lease at the end of the end of last year.
Okay.
All my stuff is currently like in storage. I have some stuff here that, you know, I finagle with and stuff like that. But like all my big ticket items that I already paid for, espresso machine, my bar, ice machine, refrigerator, all that stuff is sitting in storage right now.
Okay. But you got it though.
But
Yeah,
right,
but you
and
got
that's
it.
how I had to look at it. You know, I broke down and I was just like, dang, like devil really don't want me to succeed.
Yeah.
But I just looked at it, I had to look at it as a learning opportunity. Like, so the next time, Lanisa, you go into something like this, you know what questions
You know how to go in.
You know,
Yeah.
I know what to do. And you know, people who open shops are telling me like nothing is, it's not a cakewalk. Like it's not gonna be easy. And I'm just like, in my mind, I was like, I understand that, but I didn't know to what extent. Like I was about to get like slapped in my face.
Yeah.
But I've reached out to, well, I have his name is Tony. He owns Hot and Cool Cafe out here. It's another Black-owned coffee shop. He has one in Leimert Park and one in Woodland Hills in the Valley Park. But we're in negotiation about working something out where we can have a shared space. Because he also roasts his beans. He has farms in Ethiopia, and that's where he's from. Yeah, and he has he roasts his own beans, but he no longer would like to roast it in that location. So we're trying to find a middle space that we can both share a space. Like he's also launching his Crenshaw Coffee Co., which is his coffee company. So we're trying to work something out that we can, have a joint venture together and see where it goes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm learning how to roast right now. So that's been when, like, I guess what's fueling me right now is like, this is fucking, it's exciting to me. Like, being able to tell my mom, like, I roasted some beans for her. She was ecstatic. Like, like, and my mom loves coffee. So she's like, I want some. And like, like all that stuff. And I have people who want me to, join their roasting team or create profiles. So that's just another thing I can put on my resume that, that's under my belt. And my whole thing is like to get a resume full of everything that I could possibly know about coffee and give that information to people in my family, like my nephew, my cousins. I have a cousin right now. He got about 7 more years. And I told him, when you get out, bro, I got a job for you. You're not about to go back to two. You're not about to go back to that. You got kids that look up to you. Your son still thinks you're the greatest man in the world, and you in prison.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue that because they need to see that, like, oh, my daddy bounced right back. So I told him, like, yo, by 7 years, I'm gonna have me a full empire, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole idea. Like, I want to be able to employ those who've been incarcerated. Like, I'm one of them. My uncle just got out from doing 37 years. He was in there before I was even born.
Yeah.
But he gave me the motive. Like, he gave me the fuel. Like, come on, Lanisa. Like, you can do this. You can do this. Like, you don't have to do what we do. We don't have to keep on doing. You don't want to spend 37 years in prison. You don't. Like, we want you to be better. My family want me to do better. I'm gonna do better.
That's what's up, man. Well, are there like programs for inmates who can come in and learn that skill? So that way, when they get out of prison, okay, I'm a certified barista. I know this, and this. Is there something in place like that?
Yeah. So we actually working on something like that for real.
Cool.
For real. So there is when I was locked up, like people would come and show us basic skills for certain things, and I've been asking my friend, I have a couple of people who work in like the correctional office sector. And I was like, so how can I be able to do that? Like, how can I go inside the prison and be able to give, like, I know it'd probably be like the women's prison, or I wouldn't know, but like, how can I do that and create classes and that certification? Like, I have a whole certification thing, like a book that I've put together for my training and what I do for Barista Life delays training. How can I put that into the prison system? Or like, how can I be able to teach a class for those who want to learn anything like that? Like I've asked, and we are definitely working very close to
Ooh.
getting something like that,
Yeah.
as well as there's a program out here in LA that because the city or the county is going to be releasing a lot of people, a lot of inmates, and they are trying, it's like a program where we take them in and we train them, we get them certified and all that. The city pays us for it, but then we can go ahead and give them the skills and the knowledge that they need for them to go, you know, there's something on their resume that's current, and they put in some work, and you know, why they're on probation or parole or whatever the situation is, you're working every day and you're building up your core. I don't even know what the word is, how to say it or anything like that, but you're building yourself up. And you know, I always tell people, like, I know that being a barista, working in coffee is not the most glamorous job in the world, but what I've learned and the skills that I've learned from this and being in coffee, I guarantee I could take that somewhere else and you know, run a Fortune 500 company. Like just things like that. Like these are the basic skills: how to interact with people, how to listen, how to talk to people, how to take corrective criticism, how just like the basic things that you need to get into like the entry level. And then from there, you take it from there. And that's how I feel. Like I've never like necessarily, I have friends that needed jobs in coffee and stuff like that, and they have them, and I never say like, I got you the job. All I did was open the door for the interview. You got the job yourself. I wasn't in the interview with you. I just you know, gave you like, here a little key. You can open the door and do your magic in there. You know, and that's what I want to do. Like that's why I wanted to be in the hood, like, you know, wanted to be like right where stuff happens, like, because people, like, just by me being over off of Slauson and just getting the build out, like I had so many people come by, talk to me and asking like, what are you doing? This is coffee. Like just, and I was able to, you know, break stuff down to them and talk to them about cuppings and all that kind of stuff. And I could actually, like, you know, I'm not saying everybody is interested, but there's like a twinkle, like, oh shit, like that's something I don't know nothing about. They bringing that over here to the hood. You know, and that's the whole like fuel behind it. You know, I just want to empower my people. That's
what's
I just
up.
want to help them out.
I hope that's something I really hope you can get off the ground, because I think that would be something so dope to like you say, just educate people and give them a opportunity.
And that's all I think that's all we ask for. Like, even like I said, getting out of prison, if I just needed the opportunity. You know, and if you really want to make a change, when you get that opportunity, you take it and you run with it.
You run with it.
Don't, you continue to do the same thing. I had the opportunity and I said, this may be the last one I get. So let me take this and run with it. Just make a difference.
And making a career out of it. What's some information that you can give me, some advice that you would give somebody like that?
The advice I give is be your own person. Create your own lane. Like literally, that's how I had to do. Like I saw maybe a couple people that looked like me in the coffee industry, and it wasn't until like I saw Michelle Johnson, I was working and somebody put me on to her. And I was just like, oh, like she really out here. Like this is 5-6 years ago. And I was just like, I saw somebody else in like coffee that looks like me. And like my thing was like, oh, I'm not about to follow what she's doing, but I got to create my own lane. I'm gonna absorb the knowledge that I can and go with it and introduce it to the world through my eyes. And I think don't be scared of rejection. Don't be scared of none of that. Like I feel like it's all part of life. But if you want to get in coffee, be passionate about it.
Be passionate, That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Hopefully this year, when things really just open up and I feel comfortable traveling, I'm gonna try to make my way to LA, man. And I'm gonna come through, have a cup of coffee, and chop it up with you.
Please
So
do.
Well, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you at.
You can follow me at Barista Life, or my Instagram is Barista Life LA, and Hustlers Cup Cafe. You can tap in with me, email, or through my website, which is Barista Life LA baristalifela.com. I have merch on there. Classes are, everything is available right on there. If you want to know some information about me, or just, DM me.
That's
I
what's up.
respond.
That's what's up. When you start putting out those bags of beans too, man, let us know so we can go
Oh
there.
yeah, I'm be shipping you some. Don't even worry. Man. I got you.
Let us know.
Definitely.
Well,
yes.
man, Lanisa, I really appreciate it. Like I say,
Thank
you got a fan in me. Any way I can support, you got me. I love everything you got going, and I'm gonna be a fan for the ride.
All right. Sounds good to me.